Would you believe that the first heavy-duty trucks ever made didn't have steering wheels? Drivers had to use a tiller, just like a boat. Fast forward to the modern day, and these monsters have become something truly astonishing. I mean, how did things get to this point? Well, what we're about to reveal is truly shocking, and the evolution of trucks is something no one could have expected. Let's take a trip back to the late 1800s. Believe it or not, trucks back then were basically wagons with engines strapped on. Imagine seeing a wooden cart with an engine awkwardly bolted to it, chugging along at a snail's pace. These early machines were slow, clunky, and couldn't carry much weight. They were a far cry from the sleek, roaring trucks we see on the highways today. In fact, if you put one of these early trucks next to a modern semi-truck, you might mistake it for a child's toy. Now here's the kicker. Some of these so-called trucks didn't even run on gasoline. Steam engines powered many of them, just like the trains of that time. Let's be honest, running a truck on steam was no easy task. You needed a lot of water and coal to keep the engine running, which meant constant stops to refuel and restock. Imagine trying to transport goods across town while worrying about where to find your next bucket of water. It wasn't exactly efficient. One of the pioneers of the motorized truck was Gottlieb Daimler. Yes, that's the same genius behind Mercedes-Benz. In 1896, Daimler created what is widely recognized as the first motorized truck. It was a simple design with a 4-horsepower engine, wooden wheels, and no cab to protect the driver from the elements. This truck could carry around 3,300 pounds of cargo, which was groundbreaking for its time. But compared to the massive loads trucks haul today, it was just a drop in the bucket. The biggest challenge wasn't just the trucks themselves, but the roads they had to travel on. Back then, roads weren't paved or designed for heavy vehicles. Most were dirt paths that turned into muddy messes whenever it rained. These early trucks often got stuck or broke down, making them unreliable for long-distance transport. It's safe to say that early truck drivers needed a lot of patience and a good sense of humor to get them through the day. Even so, Daimler's invention sparked a wave of innovation. Other inventors and companies began experimenting with different designs, trying to make trucks more powerful and reliable. It wasn't perfect, but it was the beginning of something extraordinary. These early trucks laid the foundation for the powerful high-tech vehicles we rely on today. Now, let's fast forward to the early 1900s. This was a game-changing time when gasoline engines began to take over. If steam-powered trucks were the clumsy toddlers of the trucking world, then gasoline trucks were the first big step forward toward adulthood. Gas engines were more reliable and efficient. They didn't need constant refueling with water and coal, which made life a lot easier for drivers. And let's face it, nobody misses lugging around heavy buckets of coal. By the 1910s, companies like Mack Trucks and Ford were leading the charge in this new era of trucking. Mack Trucks in particular became a household name in the industry, just like our channel is breaking new ground in the automotive niche. So hit the subscribe button, buddy. Mack earned a reputation for building tough, durable vehicles that could handle heavy loads without breaking down. Their trucks were so impressive that soldiers in World War I gave them a nickname that stuck: Bulldogs. That's why even today, Mack Trucks proudly sports a bulldog logo on its vehicles. Around the same time, Ford was making its mark on the trucking world. You might think of Ford as the company that revolutionized car manufacturing with the Model T, but they didn't stop there. In 1917, Ford introduced the Model TT, which was essentially the truck version of the Model T. The Model TT could carry up to 1 ton of cargo, a major leap forward in terms of payload capacity. Businesses that had relied on horse-drawn wagons suddenly had a faster and more efficient way to transport goods. The introduction of gasoline engines also brought about significant changes in truck design. These trucks were more compact and more powerful than their steam-powered predecessors. Engineers started focusing on improved speed, durability, and cargo capacity. For example, pneumatic tires replaced the old wooden wheels, providing a smoother ride and better traction on uneven roads. The gasoline revolution didn't just make trucks better, it also changed the way people thought about transportation. Businesses that had once considered trucks as unreliable gimmicks started seeing them as essential tools. Farmers could transport their produce to market faster. Factories could deliver goods to customers more efficiently. The trucking industry was finally starting to take shape, and gasoline engines were the driving force behind it. By the end of the 1920s, heavy-duty trucks had become a staple of modern life. They were still a far cry from the high-tech giants we see today, but the foundation had been laid. The gasoline revolution marked a turning point in the evolution of trucks, setting the stage for even greater advancements in the years to come. But before we talk about these advancements, subscribe to our channel if you'd like to learn more about trucks and their awesome features. World War II wasn't just a battle between nations, it was also a test of engineering, and heavy-duty trucks played a starring role. When the war broke out, soldiers and supplies needed to move quickly and efficiently, often across rugged terrain that was anything but truck-friendly. This called for vehicles that were not only powerful, but also reliable under extreme conditions. Manufacturers like GMC, Dodge, and Ford stepped up in ways that changed the course of history, and not just for the war, but for the trucking industry as a whole. Let's talk about the GMC CCKW, also fondly known as the Deuce and a Half. This beast could haul 2.5 tons of cargo, which was no small feat back then. Whether it was ammunition, fuel, or medical supplies, the Deuce and a Half got the job done. It was built for versatility with features like all-wheel drive and a rugged design. It could handle muddy fields, rocky roads, and even snow-covered battlefields. Soldiers relied on this truck like it was their lifeline, and for good reason. Its dependability made it one of the most used vehicles during the war, showing up everywhere from the beaches of Normandy to the mountains of Italy. Another big player was Dodge with its WC series of military trucks. These smaller but mighty vehicles were designed to carry troops, tow artillery, and act as ambulances. Dodge trucks were known for being tough as nails, and their simple design made them easy to repair in the field. This was a huge deal because during wartime, a broken-down truck could mean the difference between success and failure. Military trucks just didn't transport supplies, they also boosted morale. Imagine being a soldier stranded in the middle of nowhere and hearing the rumble of an engine bringing you food, water, and maybe even a letter from home. These trucks were like moving lifelines, keeping the war effort alive on the ground. After the war, the technology and lessons learned from building military trucks didn't go to waste. Manufacturers took what they had developed, like stronger frames, better suspensions, and more powerful engines, and applied them to civilian trucks. This leap in innovation made post-war heavy-duty trucks tougher and more reliable than ever. In many ways, the battlefield became the testing ground for the trucks we see on the highway today. The 1950s were a game-changer for heavy-duty trucks, and it all started under the hood. Before diesel engines took the spotlight, most trucks ran on gasoline, which worked fine but wasn't exactly ideal for heavy-duty work. Diesel engines turned everything upside down and in the best way possible. So what makes diesel engines so special? First, they're more fuel efficient. This meant trucks could go farther on a single tank, saving money and time, a big deal for long-haul trucking. Second, diesel engines are built to last. These engines could handle more wear and tear, which was essential for trucks hauling massive loads across rough terrain. But here's the kicker. Diesel engines produce more torque, which is basically the raw pulling power a truck needs to climb steep hills or haul heavy trailers. Simply put, diesel engines were tailor-made for the challenges of heavy-duty trucking. Companies like Kenworth, Peterbilt, and Freightliner quickly saw the potential of diesel engines and started building trucks around them. Kenworth became famous for its tough yet stylish rigs, which were designed with drivers in mind. Their trucks didn't just look good, they performed even better. Peterbilt, on the other hand, became known for its iconic long nose design, which housed powerful diesel engines that could take on any challenge. Freightliner also jumped into the diesel game, creating trucks that were not only strong, but also lightweight, thanks to innovative materials like aluminum. There was also the era where trucking started to take off as a profession. With diesel engines making long-haul routes more feasible, the demand for truck drivers soared. To make life on the road more comfortable, manufacturers began adding features like air-conditioned cabs, cushioned seats, and even sleeper compartments where drivers could catch some rest. These trucks weren't just machines, they were home on wheels for many drivers. The 1950s and 60s also saw the rise of refrigerated trucks, or reefers. Thanks to the diesel-powered refrigeration units, trucks could now transport perishable goods like fruits, vegetables, and even ice cream over long distances. This opened up entirely new industries that made fresh food available in places that previously couldn't get it. Diesel engines couldn't just change how trucks worked, they also changed what trucks could do. With their increased power and efficiency, heavy-duty trucks became an essential part of modern life, moving everything from groceries to building materials across the country. This was truly the golden age of trucking, and diesel engines were at the heart of it all. But there's more. Hit the subscribe button before we move on to the next most interesting part. By the time the 1970s rolled around, something remarkable happened in the trucking world. Trucks weren't just tools to move goods anymore, they became a canvas for self-expression and individuality. Drivers wanted their rigs to stand out on the road, and boy did they take it to the next level. This is where you started seeing trucks with bold, colorful paint jobs. Flames licking up the sides, intricate murals, and bright, flashy stripes were all the rage. It wasn't just about getting from point A to point B anymore, it was about making a statement. Chrome accessories became a huge trend too. Everything from the exhaust pipes to the bumpers to the rims got the shiny treatment. Drivers wanted their trucks to gleam in the sunlight and turn heads wherever they went. And it wasn't just the outside that got the glam up. The interiors of the trucks were decked out with plush seats, custom steering wheels, and even shag carpeting. Imagine stepping into a truck and feeling like you've entered a mini luxury lounge. That's the vibe drivers were going for. This era also saw a fierce rivalry between American truck brands. Peterbilt, for instance, became a symbol of power and style. Their long-nosed design wasn't just sleek, it was iconic. You could spot a Peterbilt from miles away and know instantly that the driver behind the wheel took pride in their ride. Kenworth wasn't far behind. They revolutionized trucking comfort by introducing sleeper cabs with actual beds. Drivers who used to nap awkwardly in their seats could now stretch out and get some proper rest. These upgrades made long-haul trucking more comfortable and practical, and drivers loved it. What's interesting is that this period wasn't just about looking good. The customization craze brought truckers together. They'd meet up at truck stops and admire each other's rigs, swapping tips and ideas for the next upgrade. Truck shows became a big deal too. These were like beauty pageants for trucks where owners showed off their rides and competed for titles like Best Paint Job or Shiniest Chrome. Simply put, the 70s transformed trucking into a lifestyle. It wasn't just about hauling cargo anymore, it was about self-expression, community, and pride in the open road. And that spirit of individuality, it's still alive and well in the trucking world today. The 1980s and 90s marked a turning point for heavy-duty trucks. This was when technology started taking over, and boy, did it shake things up. Trucks got smarter, safer, and more efficient, changing the game for both drivers and manufacturers. Let's start with one of the biggest upgrades, air brakes. Before this, braking systems weren't as reliable, especially for heavy loads. Air brakes made stopping these massive vehicles safer and more consistent, which was a huge relief for drivers hauling tons of cargo down steep hills. Then came better transmissions. Manual gear shifting was the norm, and while it worked, it wasn't exactly a smooth experience. In the 80s, truck makers introduced more advanced transmissions that made shifting gears easier and more precise. This not only made driving more comfortable, but also reduced wear and tear on the trucks themselves. Safety also took center stage during this period. Manufacturers began adding features like anti-lock braking systems, which prevented wheels from locking up during sudden stops. This was a game changer, especially in slippery conditions. Cab designs also improved with better crash protection and ergonomic layouts that reduced driver fatigue. These upgrades showed that the companies were starting to prioritize the people behind the wheel, not just the vehicles. Fuel efficiency became another big focus, and this is where aerodynamics came into play. Volvo trucks led the charge with designs that were more curved and streamlined. Gone were the boxy shapes of older models. Instead, trucks started looking sleeker, with rounded edges and windshields that helped cut through the air. This might sound like a small change, but it made a huge difference in fuel savings. For long-haul drivers covering thousands of miles a week, every drop of fuel counted. But the real game changer? Computers. By the late 1990s, onboard computers were becoming a standard feature in heavy-duty trucks. These systems could monitor engine performance, track fuel efficiency, and even alert drivers to maintenance issues. Imagine having a virtual assistant keeping an eye on your rig's health while you focused on the road. That's what these computers brought to the table. They also made it easier for fleet managers to track their trucks and plan routes more efficiently, which saved time and money. Without a doubt, the 80s and 90s were a time of incredible innovation. Trucks became smarter, safer, and more efficient, setting the stage for the high-tech vehicles we see today. It wasn't just about moving cargo anymore, it was about doing it better, faster, and smarter. And while these changes might seem like common sense now, back then, they were revolutionary. So how technologically advanced do you think heavy-duty trucks will become in the next half a century? Tell us in the comments below. In the 2000s, the world started waking up to a big problem. Diesel engines, as powerful and reliable as they are, were doing a lot of damage to the environment. Heavy-duty trucks with their massive engines and constant need for fuel were some of the biggest culprits. They spewed out harmful emissions like nitrogen oxides and particulate matter, which not only contributed to climate change but also caused serious health problems in many communities. People living near highways and industrial areas felt the impact the most. with higher rates of respiratory issues like asthma. Governments around the world knew something had to change. They introduced stricter emissions regulations, forcing truck manufacturers to come up with cleaner solutions. It wasn't easy, but it pushed the industry to innovate. This is when hybrid trucks started to appear. These vehicles used a combination of diesel engines and electric motors, which made them much more fuel efficient. Companies like Toyota and Freightliner led the charge, creating hybrid models that could cut emissions without sacrificing power. But hybrid trucks were just the beginning. The real game changer came with fully electric trucks. When Tesla announced a Semi in 2017, it shook the industry. Here was a truck that promised zero emissions, lower operating costs, and a driving range of up to 500 miles on a single charge. It sounded almost too good to be true, but it got people talking. Other companies quickly jumped on the electric bandwagon. Volvo, Daimler, and Nikola began developing their own electric models, and each one aiming to outdo the other. And then there's hydrogen power. In case you didn't know, hydrogen-powered trucks use fuel cells to create electricity. The only thing they emit is water vapor, which is about as clean as it gets. Companies like Toyota and Hyundai are investing heavily in this technology, and some trucks are already being tested on the roads. The biggest challenge, though, is infrastructure. You can't just pull up to any gas station and fill up with hydrogen. But if the technology continues to improve, hydrogen could be the next big step in making trucking more sustainable. With that said, the push for sustainability is reshaping the heavy-duty trucking industry. The journey isn't over, but every new development brings us closer to a cleaner, greener future. Let's talk about today's heavy-duty trucks. These machines are nothing short of incredible. They're bigger, stronger, and smarter than anything that's come before them. Take the Volvo FH16, for example. This beast can haul up to 325 tons. To put that into perspective, that's the weight of about 65 elephants. Yes, 65. Imagine the engineering it takes to design something that can pull that kind of load without breaking a sweat. But it's not just about raw power anymore. Modern trucks are loaded with technology that makes them safer, more efficient, and more comfortable for drivers. GPS navigation has become a standard feature, helping drivers find the quickest routes and avoid traffic jams. Collision avoidance systems use sensors to detect obstacles and can even brake automatically to prevent accidents. It's like having a second pair of eyes on the road, which is a huge deal when you're driving something that weighs tens of thousands of pounds. And then there's self-driving technology. Yes, you heard that right. Self-driving trucks are no longer just a futuristic dream. They're already here. Companies like Waymo, Too Simple, and even Tesla are developing autonomous trucks that can drive themselves on highways. These trucks use cameras, radar, and artificial intelligence to navigate safely, even in challenging conditions. While they still require a human driver for certain tasks, the idea is to make long-haul trucking safer and less tiring. Of course, self-driving trucks have sparked a lot of debate. Some people worry that they'll put truck drivers out of work. After all, if a truck can drive itself, what's the need for a driver? But others argue that autonomous trucks won't replace drivers, they'll assist them. For example, a self-driving truck could cruise on its own while the driver focuses on more complex tasks like loading and unloading cargo. And let's not forget about comfort. Today's trucks are designed with the driver in mind. Sleeper cabs now come with beds, refrigerators, and even small TVs. Some trucks have ergonomic seats that make long hours on the road much easier. It's a far cry from the bumpy, uncomfortable rides of the past. Modern heavy-duty trucks are a perfect blend of power and innovation. They're not just tools for moving cargo, they're symbols of how far technology and engineering have come. And with new advancements happening every year, the future looks brighter than ever for these modern giants. So, what does the future hold? Well, the possibilities are endless. But two things are crystal clear. Technology and sustainability will lead the way. Let's start with electric trucks. These vehicles are already on the rise, with companies like Tesla, Volvo, and Daimler investing heavily in fully electric models. Why? Because they promise zero emissions, lower fuel costs, and quieter roads. Imagine a world where trucks deliver goods silently at night without waking anyone up. Then there's hydrogen power, which might sound like something out of a sci-fi movie, but it's very real. Instead of using gasoline or diesel, hydrogen-powered trucks generate electricity from hydrogen fuel cells. The only thing they release is water vapor. Yes, clean water. Companies like Nikola and Toyota are testing these trucks right now, and they could be a game changer for long-distance transport. Unlike electric trucks, which need hours to recharge, hydrogen trucks can refuel almost as quickly as a diesel one. But the excitement doesn't stop there. Self-driving trucks are making headlines too. Imagine a truck that drives itself on the highway while the driver takes a nap or focuses on other tasks. Companies like Waymo and TuSimple are already running trials, and some self-driving features are becoming standard. These trucks could reduce accidents caused by human error and make deliveries faster. Looking even further ahead, who's to say that we won't have trucks that can fly or drive underwater? Sure, it sounds crazy now, but so did electric trucks a few decades ago. The future of heavy-duty trucks isn't just about getting from point A to point B. It's about doing it smarter, cleaner, and maybe even with a touch of sci-fi magic. Now head to the comments and tell us what you think heavy-duty trucks will become in the future. Don't forget to share this video and subscribe to our channel for more awesome automobile videos. See you in the next one.